Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. Never reacted to this individual before, but I used to watch his videos every single day. He puts out a lot. Doucette, I haven't watched any of his videos in quite some time, so today, on a whim, I decided to just go to his channel, and a couple of videos caught my attention. The first being entitled My Eating Disorder. We all know what that means. That's on brand for me, so let's give it a watch, shall we?
Greg, and I'm here to address the rumors that I have an eating disorder. And I don't even think you're allowed to say that name in a video. You might get demonetized, but what the heck? I gotta talk about this because I see video after video saying Coach Greg has an eating disorder. It's in the comments. I'm reading it daily. I think it's important to understand what exactly is an eating disorder, and then I can talk about whether or not I have one. So the first thing you need to know is that an eating disorder, it's not really about food. It's about the mind and how you perceive food and how you perceive your body to look. Eating disorders are a range of psychological conditions that cause unhealthy eating habits to develop. They might start with an obsession with food, body weight, or body shape. So in trying to determine if I have an eating disorder, you first have to look at what is going on with my mind. Do I think I'm fat? Do I think I don't look good? Do I think I need to lose weight? The answer is no. If anything, I'm narcissistic. Remember that? People keep saying that. I already think I'm leaner than 99% of the population, and I tell people, try not to look like me because I have amazing genetics, and it's hard to be this lean. It's not realistic for most people to try to look like Coach Greg.
First, I want to say I don't know why exactly I stopped watching his videos, but I think he's a really good channel to watch. There have been times where I've watched some of his videos, and he said some things where I'm like, ooh, yikes. I could see myself a few years ago getting triggered by that, feeling like not good enough, thinking I need to like cut my calories, things like that. He holds his opinions. He's strong-willed. That's admirable, honestly. Even though there are some things I'm like, yikes, he's still an admirable person. Maybe he had a little bit of an obsession with food and eating and all of that. I think you have to, given his athletic background. Like, he's competitive. You kind of have to be obsessed to do the sports that he has. To be an athlete, you have to be kind of obsessed. Sorry, it comes with the territory. He did bodybuilding. You kind of are required to go to unhealthy lengths for the sport. What was I talking about? I don't know. He did a sport that's very physical appearance oriented. So yeah, he does have to be obsessed with the way he looks and like care a little bit. Have there been times where I've thought and speculated that he's taking his obsession with health too far? Sometimes, yes, maybe. But then at the same time, he's not afraid to eat things that are like 100% chemical. Sure, that means it's 0 calorie. But then it leaves room for ice cream. That's the way I think about it, at least. And the way he looks at it too, it's like it leaves room to eat more good stuff. Is that an eating disorder? I've been called out for using 0 calorie, 0 sugar diet foods before. And it's like, but I like them, so leave me alone.
So I already understand that I'm quite lean, that my genetics are amazing, and that even if I were to gain 10 pounds of fat, I would still be leaner than most people. People who have eating disorders, they typically look in the mirror and they don't like the reflection that's looking back at them. They're losing weight, cutting calories, always on diets because they're not happy with how they look. They might think that they have to look a certain way or act a certain way in order for other people to like them. I don't feel that at all. Have no feelings like that whatsoever. Don't care.
This is me just trying to get into his brain and speculating, so none of this could be true, or all of it could be true. I don't know. But I could see it as he just works out the way he likes to work out. He eats the way he likes to eat. And his body reacts this way to look this way. He's accepted that. I guess you could say he's body acceptance. He's accepting what his body does based off of the exercise that he does and his diet. So it's like you plug in a factor plus this factor equals this result. that result changes from person to person based on many different factors: genetics, environment, food accessibility, exercise accessibility, amount of each of those things. Like, there's a lot of factors that you plug these little factors in and you have your result. And because we're all different, those results are going to vary from person to person. Probably at one time when he was competing, in bodybuilding or competing in one of his other sports where you have to be disciplined, you have to be under strict control, like obsessive control over what you're putting in your mouth and what exercise you're doing. Sure, he had a physique in mind, but I think as he's gotten older, I think he's just sort of like, this is what his body does now. And I think that's not an eating disorder. That's just accepting that this is the result of the factors that he is doing. Like, this is just what his body does.
But why do I look like this? Because I want to. I like it. And I'm not suffering to look like this. Now, if I were trying to maintain 5% body fat, like when I compete in a bodybuilding contest year-round, yeah, I would say I would have an eating disorder, because I would have to starve myself, always be hungry, be miserable to look like that.
Yes, he understands, biology, anatomy, physiology, and understands that that's not practical. People with an eating disorder think that they can and that it's sustainable and that they should. I think that's most important. We feel that we should look that way 100% of the time. He understands that's not possible. It's not going to happen unless he's willing to kill himself, which is what an eating disorder does. Kills you. Because it convinces you that not only can you look a certain way, you should. There is this unspoken authority that looms over you and dictates what you should look like and what you should eat and what you should do. You don't know why you should, you just feel you must. He understands that there is no must, and he understands it's impossible to look that way all of the time.
Do I like looking like that? Yup. Is it okay? Do I accept not looking like that? Of course I do. Here's a summary given for an eating disorder. Eating disorders are mental health conditioned, marked by an obsession with food or body shape. So the question is, am I obsessed with food and or the shape of my body? The answer is no, I'm not obsessed. Just because I want to eat a certain way or to look a certain way doesn't mean you have an obsession.
I think a reason why people think he is obsessed is because of the content he creates. That's his job. It seems like he's obsessed because that's what we see is a continuous outpour of talking about food, talking about low calorie, talking about calorie deficits, talking about weight loss, talking about lifting, talking about fitness, that it appears he's obsessed. It's his job. We're only seeing a very small percentage of who Greg is. People who think he has an eating disorder are taking that very, very small percentage and saying that's who he is 100%. He probably works like 50 hours a day. Not gonna lie, he seems like that type of person, but okay, if that makes him happy, why not? But I could see when the cameras are off, when he's not planning, when he's not creating, when he's not working, and it's him and his girlfriend and all their beautiful animals. I'm so jealous, but when it's just them, they're just having fun. He seems like a fun guy. I'd want to hang out with him. We're just seeing the smallest amount of his life. The smallest. And people are trying to make it his whole life. We're literally seeing this much. This much.
An unhealthy obsession that ruins your life. The way I eat and train adds to my life. It makes me happier. I enjoy it. I like lifting weights in the gym and I enjoy doing cardio. I like both. I train and exercise a normal amount that makes me healthy. I don't have an unrealistically low body fat percentage that's making it unhealthy for me to be this way. If I were 5%, sure, wouldn't be healthy for me. But currently at 9% body fat, I feel great. So why not keep doing what I'm doing? One of the reasons people keep thinking that I have an eating disorder is that I tell people to be full. When you're dieting and you're trying to lose weight, you should try to be full by eating low-calorie dense foods. And if you eat these low-calorie dense foods, you're not going to be as hungry. And when you're hungry, that's when you tend to overeat. So I eat a lot of low-calorie dense foods. But does that mean I have an eating disorder? No.
When you try to make food healthy, people are like, oh, is your eating disorder back? It's like, no, I recognize that eating a whole gallon of ice cream might be considered unhealthy. So if I can satisfy that want for ice cream, but actually get some nutrition, I'm gonna do that because it's a win-win situation rather than a lose-lose situation where I give in to binging, which is an eating disorder, and also not getting anything out of it except for feeling sick. And that's not to say I don't eat ice cream. I eat ice cream, just not as much as I used to. I think people think recovery from an eating disorder means you just like eat all the shitty food all the time. And it's like, no. Recovery is recognizing that there is a time and place for every type of food, that every type of food can fit into a healthy life, and there's no fear around eating those foods. That's recovery, not just eating chips and ice cream and cake all the time. There is a time in recovery where you do eat chips and ice cream and cake and cookies and cereal and all the scary foods. There is a time and place for that, but it's not 100% that. People think that he has an eating disorder because he encourages you to be full. What? People with eating disorders don't want to feel full? Holy crap. We want to feel the opposite. I think the people who are saying he has an eating disorder have never had an eating disorder in their life. I don't think that, they don't know what an eating disorder is whatsoever.
Just because I choose to eat a certain way doesn't mean you have an eating disorder. Do vegans have an eating disorder because they choose not to eat meat? No, of course not. They just don't want to eat meat. Let them eat what they want.
I've been told I'm unhealthy and that I have an eating disorder because I'm a vegan by people who eat like shit. People want other people to have a problem. I don't know why. People want people to fail. It all comes down to that. People want to look at someone who is successful and be able to say, but you're not 100% successful because you have this problem or you're this way. Even though I have zero knowledge or understanding of those things, I'm going to label you as those things. I don't know.
It's not like they're doing something dangerous that could endanger their health. So just because I like being full doesn't mean it's a problem. So because I'm a big eater doesn't mean I have an eating disorder. Could I go and eat high-calorie dense foods all the time? Of course I could. What would happen? Probably go to 20-25% body fat, be a bit more chubby, but still healthy. Still not too bad. But why should I do that if I don't want to?
That's the other thing, is if he enjoys the way he's eating, he's healthy, how is that an eating disorder? I'd like to talk to the people who say he has an eating disorder and ask him, like, what do you think an eating disorder means? What do you think that is? I don't think that means what you think it means. If you want to know what an eating disorder is, come talk to me. I'll show you what having an eating disorder really looks like.
If I wanted to keep the same percent body fat as I have now, eating a lot of high-calorie dense foods, I would be hungry. Don't want to be hungry. So what's wrong with choosing foods that make me not hungry? One day, Greg will realize not everyone has a stomach the size of an industrial-grade trash can.
This goes back to what he said at the beginning. He said, don't try to look like me, which means also don't try to eat like him. His French toast, he might encourage you to eat his French toast. While he eats like 8 pieces, he probably would say, you need to find out how many pieces it takes for you to be full. That could be 4. That could be 2. That could be 10. He's not saying everyone should have a stomach like him, because we're not him. We don't have his genetics, which are perfection.
Whether your stomach is this big or this big, if you're hungry, you're hungry. And if you're full, you're full. If a 5-year-old eats 1 hamburger and they're full and happy. If I eat 6 hamburgers and I'm full and happy. Regardless of how much we eat, we're both full and satisfied. And just because you're aware of the calories in the foods that you're eating and that you care about eating healthy doesn't mean you have an eating disorder.
Yes, I feel like I hear it all the time that if you count calories, you have an eating disorder. Counting calories is not 100% sign someone has an eating disorder. Can it? Yes. Does it always mean that? No.
In today's age, with body acceptance and healthy at every size and so on, people think that those who actually care about the foods that they're eating, they have a disorder. Just because I don't want to eat pizza at every meal doesn't mean I have a problem. Just because I want to eat a salad or have low-calorie desserts doesn't mean I have an eating disorder. It just means I want to be healthy.
People who kind of gatekeep intuitive eating, like take my obsession with ice cream. They're like, oh, you're craving ice cream, but you chose to have a protein ice cream instead of real ice cream, then you have an eating disorder, or that's not intuitive. Well, I also recognize nutritional benefit. What makes my body feel the best? I'm better off making a low-calorie protein ice cream and putting whipped cream on top than eating a pint of ice cream with whipped cream on top. That's intuitive, because intuitive eating is more than just satisfying your craving. There's understanding behind it too. I think people fail to remember that. And then they're so quick to say you have an eating disorder when you do intuitive eating your way. It's intuitive to me. I would know what that means for me and my body. Not sure how strangers got that information since they don't live inside of this. But people like to pretend that they know what's best for other people, even though they always also say, you gotta do what's best for you. Well, let me.
And trying to be healthy doesn't mean you have an eating disorder. In the same way that just because I like doing cardio doesn't mean I have a cardio disorder. I'm not over-exercising. Now, there would be a difference if I ate 5,000 calories a day and I went and did 5 hours of cardio to try to burn that off every day because I feel guilty about the food that I'm eating. That would be different. That could be an eating disorder, where every time you eat something, you feel the need to burn it off. I don't feel that need. I just know what I'm doing.
I'm just going to end it here. I'm going to say he doesn't have an eating disorder. You heard it here, guys. Greg Doucette, Coach Greg, you don't have an eating disorder. And I think you should listen to me, because I do. Stop listening to people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. He knows that. I think I'm going to watch more of his videos from time to time, because I think there are going to be a few videos where he's going to talk about things that are relevant to my channel. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on his channel from now on. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you did not enjoy it, you can give it a thumbs down, and that is cool too. I don't mind. I can understand if you did not enjoy it, because I definitely was looking at the viewfinder quite a lot, but I look really pretty today, and I can't help it because I like to look at pretty things. Anyway, please give this video a thumbs up. Thank you! Anyway, if you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing, and be sure to hit the notification bell to stay notified of all future uploads. If you have any comments, questions, video suggestions, anything at all, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Be sure to go follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye!